Hello! E3 is currently doing its big noisy thing, honking out game reveals at a rate of one a minute, so why not seek some solace from the din by taking a quick trip to the Russian wilds of Metro Exodus. Rock Paper Shotgun was recently invited to play a chunk of the game, and we were given some gameplay footage to help demonstrate our thoughts. So strap on your gas mask and pick up your best mutant whacking stick as we discuss the biggest changes to the classic Metro formula.
That electric tower there looks like a perfect sniping position. Let's go.
The most obvious change is that Metro is properly stepping out of the tunnels and into the light. The series has dabbled with larger play areas before, with wider pockets of action dotted along its linear corridors, but Exodus is a confident stride towards a larger sandbox, with some areas stretching over 2 square kilometers. As that size suggests, this isn't a vast open world on the scale of Fallout. In fact, the game is divided into self-contained regions that you'll visit as you journey through the story. These are areas designed to be explored and exhausted. You'll move on from them in a massive great steam train and won't return to them later. The closest example I can think of is how the rebooted Tomb Raider games or The Evil Within 2 managed their larger hub areas. Like those games, there is enough space here for you to explore and miss side activities, but there is not so much space that you lose the handcrafted feel of the moment-to-moment action. As you scout the countryside, you might hear a scuttling noise inside an abandoned train carriage, with a line of encouragement to check it out.
Could you check it out?
You know, because these things never end horribly for everyone involved. Follow the sound and you'll find a more scripted, shaped moment embedded in the larger open world. This doesn't feel like a space designed for more emergent sandbox surprises, but it does give you a long enough leash that it doesn't feel like another ghost train ride rattling along the rails of the Moscow underground. More reassuring is that despite its open approach, it hasn't gone down the Ubisoft route of drowning the map with blinking icons and checklists of activities to tick off. Metro has always done a good job of keeping that more artificial nonsense at arm's length, so there's no fast travel to zip around the map at your convenience. Hell, if you want to look at the map, you still need to physically hold it up in the game world. The addition of a compass to Artyom's gauntlet is one tiny concession to user friendliness. This used to appear on the map in the older games, but is now on your wrist, pointing to your story objective at all times. There are safe houses to be found where you can craft ammo and items, more on that in a second, and sleep in a bed to move on the day-night cycle. More importantly, this safe house has a zip line, which must feel brilliant when you've spent your entire life living in a mangy old tunnel. This isn't to say that Exodus lacks distractions to keep you occupied, it just wants you to happen upon them more organically.
Artyom, I can't cover you when you're inside. I'm changing position to meet the woman and child.
One of the immediate benefits of the more open world is having a bit more flexibility with how you deal with enemy encounters. Metro has long asked you to balance stealth and dying horribly because you ignored stealth, but the balance is much more satisfying when you have more angles of attack. Sneaking around an abandoned church lets Artyom try out his improved range of non-lethal takedowns.
What?
Weighing up whether to kill or not kill does have repercussions in the game, as the various factions in the Wastelands will remember how you treated them in those previous encounters. The cultists in this cathedral aren't friendly right now, but avoid murdering them and their friends might lead you to hidden weapons later in the area. Otherwise, the sneaky approach is pretty standard Metro fare. There's the obligatory throwing of rocks to get guards to expose their backs or lure them into dark corners, and you can still unscrew light bulbs or put out flames to give yourself some friendly darkness. It's not something we mess about with in this demo, but I'm actually curious to see how the day-night cycle impacts these infiltrations. Darkness is a hugely beneficial tool for the stealthy approach, but surely it has to come at some cost. Maybe an influx of nocturnal ghouls, perhaps. Of course, one of the biggest impacts on how you deal with the world are the weapons you bring along to deal with it. Metro Exodus has considerably pumped up its arsenal, literally so in the case of the pressurized ball bearing rifle, with a bigger focus on customization. New weapon parts can be scavenged from dropped guns, letting you piece together new toys to fit your purpose at any given time. About to sneak into cultist territory? Pop a suppressor on your pistol and a tasty laser sight. Don't care about going unnoticed? Then your AK-47 may as well have even more bullets to spray out. Modifications can be made on the battlefield by dropping your rucksack and rooting around for parts, or you can use workbenches in safe houses. By modifying scopes, barrels, magazines, stocks and attachments, the range of weapons you can make is impressively diverse and feels like a good impetus to leave the beaten track and find new parts to bolt onto guns. You can also clean the gun at workstations. Let grime build up and it will eventually break it. And now that you have all these fun weapons, you can feel less guilty about firing them as Metro's traditional bullet economy is gone. Instead of using bullets as money, you craft them, so the traders are redundant. It makes for a more carefree shooter, but there is still resource juggling and forward planning to be done. You see, while you can use the rucksack to craft bandages and Molotov cocktails out in the field, you can't make bullets away from the workbench, so do think things over before diving into a mutant den. Despite adopting a design and story that gets them out into the fresh air, 4A Games still can't quite resist the siren call of a dirty underground tunnel. When Artyom falls into an old railroad track while looking for his missing wife, he finds a den of pasty-skinned mutant types waiting for a good old-fashioned bullet in the head. In these moments, it feels like nothing has changed since 2033 and Last Light. There are a few collectible spores to yank off the wall and stick in your rucksack, but the feel and rhythm of the combat is very familiar. Right down to the claustrophobic confines of your wheezing mask, there's still a lot of affection for the old ways of doing things. If anything, I'm intrigued to see if they can pull some of this tension above ground too. There are areas of heavier radiation where you have to gamble on dashing in and out or finding a longer route around, but after years of splashing around in Fallout's radiated ponds, I'm hoping for something here with a bit more edge, a bit more urgency. Time will tell if they can deliver it. There's also the question of technical polish. The footage you're watching here has been supplied as B-roll, so it's been scrubbed of any weirdness. When Rock Paper Shotgun went to play the game recently, we encountered a lot more oddities. Some of them are the teething problems of any open world setting. You'll find lots of NPCs jabbering away over each other in a desperate hurry to impart their chunk of the story to you. But there are also a fair amount of enemy glitches and strange behaviour. Obviously the game is 8 months from release. That stubborn beta gameplay label on the screen reminds us of that, but it is something worth raising at this point. Hopefully we can record some gameplay of our own soon. So that's a quick tour of Metro Exodus. For even more on the game, I've linked to an excellent write-up in the video description. Our writer Edwin interviewed the team and got a few more details out of them. I'm intrigued by what we've seen so far, but do wonder how it will work over several of these self-contained levels. My worry is that each one could feel quite repetitive, as you quickly get to know the space and then exhaust it, but who can tell? I certainly want to see more. And to make sure you don't miss it when we do have more, why not subscribe to the channel? If it's on PC, we've got it covered, so please do think about it, and hopefully we'll see you around these parts soon. Goodbye!